All right, let's get into a really dark and fascinating play. We're talking about what happens when you take raw human nature, stick it in total isolation, and just watch what happens. We're going to break down the complete psychological collapse of a household when one mysterious man shows up and just shatters their entire world. So this is the very first thing he says. Talk about an entrance, right? This is Angelo, the stranger, arriving at a house where only 3 women live. And that one line, it just sets the stage for everything. It's not a greeting, it's a declaration. It frames his arrival in terms of this raw, masculine energy invading a space that has been without it for a very long time. Okay, so to really get the sheer impact of his arrival, you first have to understand the world he's about to completely tear apart. Picture this, a remote, decaying house on a barren landscape that's literally just called Goat Island.
Life here isn't really living. It's more like a quiet, slow-burn torment. Their world is defined by the death of the family patriarch, Professor Enrico, and for 5 long years, they've been suffocating in this oppressive solitude. Everything is just stuck. They're waiting for something, anything, to break the silence.
So let's meet our main characters, because each of them is basically a powder keg waiting for a match. You've got Agata, the widow, a woman of extremes with this intense, all-or-nothing energy just simmering below the surface. Then there's Pia, her sister-in-law, who feels like she's going feral out there in the wilderness. And poor Silvia, the daughter, is being tormented by something as small as a banging shutter, which is kind of the perfect symbol for their life, right? Just one constant, grating, relentless annoyance. And right into this stagnant, miserable world walks Angelo. And of course, he's charming, he's well-built, and he's got the perfect cover story. He was a friend of Agata's dead husband from a prison camp, and he's here to carry out his last wishes. Angelo is the ultimate catalyst. He is basically a lit match thrown into a room full of gasoline. He's not just a person, he's an event. He is the foreign element, the masculine force that is going to set their repressed little world completely on fire. And check out how smooth this is. This is how he gets in the door. He masterfully uses the authority of the dead husband to justify being there. He says, "Your dead husband sent me. He wanted me to take his place." I mean, how do you possibly say no to that? It's genius. And it's deeply manipulative. So, this is where it gets really chilling. Angelo doesn't need to use force. He uses words. He starts to systematically dismantle all their defenses, awakening these deep, primal desires that they have kept buried for years and years. And he's got a playbook. It's like a 4-step psychological invasion. He offers simple practical help, like fixing that shutter. He invokes the dead to give himself spiritual authority. He gets intimate, telling Agata he knows her secret self. And then the final blow, he gives them philosophical permission, basically saying that sin is the way to salvation. He targets every single one of their vulnerabilities with chilling precision. But this is his checkmate move. He tells Agata that her husband told him everything, every secret, every intimate moment. He basically says, "Among us, you were naked." He completely strips away her privacy, her past, and positions himself as the only person who truly knows her. It's an incredible violation. So what happens when he solidifies his power? The house just implodes. Any bond that held these 3 women together, even a bond of misery, completely disintegrates. What's left is this quiet, vicious war, fueled by jealousy and suspicion. The entire dynamic of the house transforms. You can see it here. It goes from being a prison of shared loneliness to a battleground for his attention. They aren't grieving together anymore. They're fighting over him. He turns them against each other, mother, daughter, sister-in-law. It's absolutely brutal. And Silvia, the daughter, is the one who sees the moral collapse for what it is. She is just horrified, watching her mother and her aunt abandon all dignity, all social norms for this man. Calling them 2 heifers in the same stall, she's basically saying they've given up on being human. So the psychological tension finally reaches a breaking point. It has to erupt into violence. And Silvia, seeing no other way out of this nightmare, decides she has to be the one to end it. Her plan? To kill Angelo. But this story doesn't end with a gunshot. No, the real climax, the final judgment, happens somewhere much darker, much deeper. It happens at the physical and symbolic heart of the house, the well. And just look at how this plays out. This isn't an impulsive act. Angelo goes down into the well, and the ladder just happens to fall in after him. And for 2 days and 2 nights, the women just listen. They listen as his calm requests turn into desperate cries and then into pure, furious threats. Pia and Silvia can't take it. They flee. But Agata stays. And just like that, the powerful, seductive manipulator, the man who controlled them all with his words, is reduced to nothing more than a single, terrified question coming from the darkness. And Agata's response? It's ice cold. There's no panic, no screaming, just this chilling, philosophical acceptance. I'm afraid it has to be this way. In that single moment, the power dynamic has completely inverted. He's no longer the puppet master. She is. So he tries one last time. He tries to use morality as a weapon, the very thing he told them was meaningless. He threatens her with eternal damnation, the one concept he thought he had completely dismantled. But here's the final terrifying twist. She's not afraid of it. She embraces it. That's exactly what gives me peace. For her, this isn't a crime. It's her destiny. She's finally accepting her true nature, and in doing so, finds this strange, awful kind of peace, sealing both of their fates. So in the end, she doesn't run away with the others. She chooses her prison. She locks herself in the house, sits by the well, and becomes his eternal jailer. Which of course means she's her own jailer too, forever bound to the voice in the dark. Which leaves us with one last haunting question to chew on. Who is the real prisoner on Goat Island? Is it Angelo, trapped in the physical darkness of the well? Or is it Agata, who has just sentenced herself to a lifetime in a psychological prison, listening to the echo of his voice from below for the rest of her days?